This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com.
Talk to me a little bit about the different styles that you're running up against. These days, when you go to the WWE, everybody goes, well, not everybody, most people go through NXT, and you're going to sort of learn the WWE way, if that makes sense. But back in this era, man, just look at who all we've talked about so far. You've wrestled people from all over the country and often the world. So everybody sort of has their own style and idiosyncrasies. And it's not like these days where, man, I wonder what he does. Let's just pull up YouTube. You really got your information on these guys from magazines, but looking at still pictures and reading what Bill Apter or George Napolitano or seeing their pictures, that's one thing. It's another thing to actually see what they do. And so for a lot of these guys, this is probably the first time you've ever, quote unquote, seen them wrestle is when you're between the ropes with them, right?
Yeah. And you know what I figured out pretty quickly is if I was in the first match pretty much the entire 5 to 6 months that I was there.
Right.
Pretty much either it's the first match, second match, at the very latest, the third match of the night. I would go find myself a place behind the curtain where nobody could see me, and I would study everybody and watch what everybody did. And I took notes and wrote down what everybody did, their moves and all that stuff, so that if I had the opportunity to see them or work with them later, I at least had some stuff wrote down that they did. Because it was up to heels. In those days, Conrad, even if you were an underneath heel, it was up to you to call the match.
Right.
If you had a guy that was more polished than you and he wasn't interested in you calling anything, he would just say something like, you'd lock up and he'd just say, just go with me, kid. Just go with it, kid. And you knew he was going to lead the match from the babyface side. But if you weren't green, if you were a seasoned heel and you had some experience, it's up to you to lead the match, and you need to call the stuff that featured the babyface. Obviously, Bill Watts had a strict set of rules for underneath matches, which was the first or second match, at least the first match of the night. Usually a 20-minute Broadway, no punching, no kicking, no eye gouging, and keep it in the ring. So you learned how to work. You learned how to wrestle. You learned how to work off a headlock or a hammer lock or a leg or whatever it may be. You learned in his territory because you couldn't do any of the other stuff. So it was up to you to get your thinking cap on and get your learning curve and start watching everything that everybody did. But so you knew when you got to the ring, you knew what to call.
I want to get to the end of November before I start asking some questions that are not about matches, but
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.